This is an opportunity, and you now have to understand why the action man just decides, oh, I just fought a month ago. All right, 4-week turnaround. Let's get it. You know what I mean? That's definitely something to worry about. I don't like that personally. I don't like the quick turnaround. But this is a man of opportunity. And we saw against Phil Hawes, right? He fought Brendan Allen like a month later, and he got a knockout. So it's not like it's not within him. But the thing that's the most interesting to me is that Chris Curtis is a minus 135 favorite, plus 115 comeback for Jack Hermansson. And I feel like normally, if the Rodolfo Vieira fight never happened for Chris Curtis, the odds would have been flipped, right? But because the man stuffed 20 takedowns, and I think he is yet to be taken down in the UFC, 100% takedown defense in the UFC, it's just something that you definitely have to take into consideration right there, brother. So let's talk about it a little bit. Jack Hermansson, right? Unorthodox fighter, right? He's a little clunky on the feet, but the goal is to get that shot in. But what did we see against Sean Strickland in his last outing? When he wasn't able to get that shot, he just kind of sat back and became content with just trying to throw on the feet, which is totally cool. It's not a problem. But against Chris Curtis, he's going to make you pay, right? So what is the path to victory if you're a Jack Hermansson against a Chris Curtis?
Man, leg kicks and then leg kicks on leg kicks. And when you think you're going to leg kick them, drop down, get the takedown, get him to the ground. I mean, it's going to be a lot harder. It's a lot easier said than done, especially because of all the stuff that Chris Curtis has known. He's basically gone through 2 training camps to fight Jack Hermansson. One being the help to Sean Strickland. And now, I mean, it's short notice. He's stepping in on something, but he already has all that prior knowledge. So he knows takedown's the way to go. Did you stuff a bunch of this dude's takedowns? He's going to kind of have that same wilting fashion that I was talking about earlier in Curtis Blades. What the hell are we talking about? It's Curtis Blades. And you can see he becomes complacent in reacting instead of being proactive in the fight. And it's a little bit worrisome. So if you're Jack Hermansson, you got to stay on your bike. You got to stay mobile. You got to stay moving. You got to be the one leading the entire dance. Throw in those leg kicks. Get Chris Curtis, the explosiveness out of him. Obviously, don't throw blind leg kicks, but get the explosiveness out of Chris Curtis and then start working your own game plan. You work your takedowns, working the ground and pound, all of that jazz right after that. Do you see what I'm saying, Derek, or you see it a different way coming for Hermansson?
I see what you're saying. I just think that Jack Hermansson is going to have to do something a little trickier than that to be able to actually be effective against Chris Curtis, because I get what you're saying. Curtis has that very long, wide stance, right, where his leg is just begging to get smacked on, right? And Rodolfo Vieira did a good job trying to attack that a little bit until you throw the leg kick and he counters you with the right hand over the top. So that's just the one thing. You're right. You have to set up the leg kicks if that's the route that you're going to go. But let's look at the last couple losses for Jack Hermansson. You got Sean Strickland, Marvin Vettori, Jared Cannonier. Those are the last 3 losses in his last 5 bouts, right? So is there a common thread between the two? Between the 3, not really, right? Jared Cannonier, Vettori, Strickland, they're all their own different beasts right there. But his wins, that first round heel hook on Kelvin Gastelum, which was like, damn, we didn't even really get to see the fight started. And then that, kind of wall-to-wall win against Edmund Shabazian, which was kind of close at times, but it was more or less wire-to-wire. So Chris Curtis, his wins, Rodolfo Vieira, Brendan Allen, Phil Hawes. Then you got a couple other fights outside of the UFC, you know what I mean, going further than that. But when you look at the differentiation between the skill level, Jack Hermansson has fought the better guys. And it's just clear to say that. But I do think that stylistically, this just does not favor Jack Hermansson unless he can legitimately get Curtis to the ground. Because we haven't seen it yet. And I want to know what happens if he can edge out a win like that. He knows this is kind of like a desperation spot, man. 9-5 in the UFC. You got to get these wins together if you want to have any hope at running at that title in the middleweight division. And I just think it's tough, man. I just think this is a tough matchup overall. That last outing against Sean Strickland was not very promising if you wanted to be a better on Jack Hermansson, but let's be realistic here. I think there's been this transformation of Chris Curtis, right? Where it's like at first we're like, oh man, against a wrestler, against Phil Hawes, he's just going to get taken down. And now we see he could stuff the takedowns, he can make you pay. But let's be real here. It's not like Jack Hermansson doesn't have a chance to win this fight. It's just that he has to be very methodical in how he goes about it. So as a betting man, AJ, right? Would you hedge at all with a little money on the money line for Jack Hermansson, or work any of these props, or what are we talking?
I was looking at that plus 115 money line, brother, just to hedge just a little bit, because the Joker, if you remember, it had to have been about 2 years ago. That's all anybody could talk about.
Yeah.
Jack the Joker. Everybody, this dude coming out of wherever he's coming out of. What is he?
Frontline London? Academy, brother. Yeah, Frontline Academy.
Sweden. The wrestler coming out of Sweden, a better Alexander Gustafsson, still has a striking, but he can wrestle. All this hype that came from Jack kind of died off a little bit, but he is still very, very dangerous, man. Very, very dangerous in everything he does. It's just like you said, has to be more methodical about the way he's going. And even if you go up, you can see he wrestled Hamzat.
Hamza and
He's
got beat
getting
up. Yeah.
wrestling in Hamzat. He did lose by points, but he's still working it. He's still working the training. He's still trying to get better. And then Hamzat's just a different animal. So I don't think too much into the loss. I think more into the skill set he was trying to acquire and polish up. He may be working for a little more takedown styles.
Brother, he got handled in that wrestling matchup. That wasn't even. They weren't. It wasn't the same wrestling that he normally is accustomed to. So that was kind of embarrassing to see that. But all right, brother, we know how this is going to go down. I think Chris Curtis has more weapons overall. More ability to be able to dictate where the fight's going to take place. But if Jack Hermansson gets stuff to take down, we're going to be in serious problems. So let's talk about the props here. Chris Curtis is coming off a decision win. He has 12 of them, right? But he's been in good form. It's one or the other. You're either knocking him out or you're decisioning him. You're winning him on points, right? So 16 knockouts, 12 decisions for the Joker. 11 knockouts, 6 decisions. 11 knockouts, 6 submissions, 2 decisions. If we're talking about a prop here, right, and we're going in favor of Chris Curtis, the options on the board are very limited. Plus 195 for the TKO, plus 300 for the decision. The Joker's only been knocked out twice. So I do think there's value in that decision play for sure, right? Because, look at the Rodolfo Vieira fight. If you're spending all of your energy stuffing takedowns, not able to sit down really on those shots, right, and be able to, work the body the same way he was against Rodolfo Vieira, it might just come down to round 3. All right, can he get it? I couldn't get him. All right, well, decision. Do you think that TKO is truly in play? Do you think he can knock out the Joker?
Not really, man. Yes, he can. It's obviously possible, but I think with the skill and the experience and the style of the Joker, even when the chips are down, he's still not out of the fight. You know what I'm saying? Even against Sean Strickland, the Jack Hermansson, he was still in it, and even they got him a split decision. So as much as Chris Curtis has the style and the power to knock Hermansson out, I don't think Hermansson's going to be there in the situations to get knocked out. So that's why I like the decision pick on this one. What about you?
Yeah. I'm taking the decision pick on this one for Chris Curtis for the action, man. But I think what it really comes down to at the end of the day, I'm looking at that plus 450 submission number for Jack Hermansson. I'm like, can that be something of? You have to get the takedown to get the submission, right? Unless you're doing some standing arm triangle. Shout out Jessica Andrade. But do you give any credence to that, or do you think that just stick to the decision and call it a day?
Plus 450. The hard part I think about this one is you have to get into the ground. Yeah. Unless you're doing a Paul Craig or, like you said, a standing arm triangle, Jessica Andrade style, or a Paul Craig or a lot of the other jiu-jitsu guys, and they just pull guard. I don't see that. I don't see that. And I don't see either of those happening, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's just a number that it's like juicy. It's like, ooh, it's just staring at you. Like, please bet on me, right? But, we'll keep it pushing right there. Chris Curtis for the win right there.